Hey everyone, it's Mike, your safety guy with Next Tech, and this is the Service Call Podcast. This is a show where we talk about the people who actually keep the lights on, the air running, and the job moving forward. But the show goes beyond our industry to explore resilience, leadership, and lessons from people who answer the call to serve. We'll feature techs, leaders, and a few wild cards, and real stories from the field, the shop, and everywhere in between. No corporate scripts, no sales pitch, just real conversations with people who know what it means to show up and get it done. Let's roll. So, hey guys, welcome back. We have Danny Lucas with us today. He is one of our safety managers. I'm one of them. Danny is our safety managers for the eastern half of the United States. And he's on the road just like I am all the time. We're going to be talking to Danny. Welcome, sir.
Hey, how are you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You've been in the trade a while. Tell us a little bit about you.
A little bit about me.
Just a little bit.
Let's see. I started in air conditioning basically out of high school. I got recruited by a gentleman who needed a strong back to carry around some compressors, things like that, and I seemed to fit the bill for him. So I worked under his wing for almost 8-9 years. And during that process, he taught me a lot about the trade. We focused mainly on commercial air conditioning and refrigeration in restaurants. And so that's pretty much where I started the first 10 years at. And from there, like I said, I was basically his right-hand man and went from carrying the tool bag to actually being the guy that's basically ended up running his business for a couple of years until his family came back from college and came into the family business. And then I left and started venturing on down the road to see what else I could learn. I've always been intrigued with the industry and wanted to grow my career as much as I possibly could. Always wanted to learn more. So from there, I actually ended up going and becoming a service manager. Got recruited into the Space Center. Worked out there for a very short period of time. During that time, it was a lot of government contract, layoffs, all that fun stuff, and basically last one in, first one out the door. So I was the youngest one there. They hated to lose me, but due to seniority and unions, it was my time to leave. So I left there, and at that point, I actually went to work for CMS, and I worked there for about 6 months in the office. There I met Bill Zeno. I met Inner Tom. Back in those days, all those guys were there back then. I spent a few months in the office and realized really quickly at that time I was young and I wanted to be back out in the field with the technicians. That's where I just really enjoyed spending my time. So I went back out in the field, became a service manager again, chased after my contractor's license. And it's funny, actually, Tom Volmart was one of the guys during my time at CMS that I really looked up to. And at that time, he was actually going through his mechanical contractor's license. And just through talking with him, that kind of inspired me to, maybe I should look into doing my licensing too. So I went about that, got my contractor's license. Kept learning more and more about the industry. At that time, Alpine Mechanical Services out of Pennsylvania. At one time, they were a competitor of CMS's. They wanted to open up Florida operations and they needed someone with a contractor's license to operate in the state. So I basically helped develop Alpine's footprint in Florida and started that and worked with them for about 5 to 7 years setting all that up, and then left there, started my own air conditioning company. That didn't last long. I enjoyed just working. The business side of it at that time didn't really I didn't want to focus my attention on that. I just really enjoyed working on things. So I went back to work at Alpine Mechanical, and basically worked there all the way up until the moment that unfortunately I had an accident. And I wrecked one of the vehicles, and at that point, that kind of changed my career, my shift, and my focus. So at that point, I had to make the realization, hey, I can no longer physically perform my duties as a technician. I can't do the ladders, anything like that. It was tough. I was in my early 40s. I want to say about 42. So it was really tough for me. Yeah, I mean,
But when you let's regroup a little bit
yeah,
because I know
sorry.
it's emotional for you. We've talked
Yeah.
about it before at
Yep.
dinner.
Yep.
So when you were at Space Center, though, because
Mhm.
even though you talked about the Space Center, and we're going to talk about the accident because you can
Yeah.
tell it really changed and it was a big monumental change in his life. But you worked at the Space Center and
Mhm.
it prepared you, I think, for the safety person you are today because
100%.
in that short amount of time at Kennedy Space Center, you were immersed into their safety program. Can you share a little bit about
Yes.
that?
Yes. So yeah, when I came in, like you said, at the space center where we were working at, it was basically the chiller plants that ran the whole operations of the whole facility. So they were very large chillers. Everything was ran off of the big voltage. High voltage there was 46,000, which is right off of right off of basically the power plant, so there was a lot of safety protocol that came into being trained for that, even to the point that the chillers had so much refrigerant in it that even, if there was an escape of refrigerant, the fire department wouldn't come in the building until, the HVAC crew basically contained and trained all that. So we had to go through hazmat training. We had to go through, Panther pack training just like firefighters do, where you have to don a full respirator with air tanks. So they were very, very safety conscious. We even had to have health inspections every couple of months, check our breathing, our hearing, our everything. So yeah, I spent a lot of time either in the field, and I'd say for every hour or two that I probably spent in the chiller, I probably spent in the classroom being, like you said, certified and trained, whether it was fall protection, breathing protection, confined spaces, all those fun things.
That's crazy because you and I have shared stuff about your time. I find it fascinating. From a guy on the West Coast, Danny will say things like, "Oh, they're launching a rocket, and it's over there." And I'm like, "Where? Where's the rocket? I wanna see it."
Mhm,
And it becomes kinda complacent because it's an everyday part of your
mhm.
life when you live in that part of
Absolutely.
Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another part of it, another thing that, it's kinda ironic that actually kinda also fueled me into the safety side of it is, ironically, my father is in the safety department. And my father has been involved in, being an outreach instructor for OSHA and carries many certifications for OSHA certifying for the government. So it's kinda something even as a child, I was always immersed in it because, again, he knew what I did as a technician, and he would always preach to me about lockout, tagout, fall prevention, ladder safety, the things that, like you said, that we don't necessarily think about sometimes. And he was always beating it into my head because he knew the risks that I was exposing myself to doing these jobs.
So then you have the career. You and I almost had the same problem. I opened a residential air conditioning company in Southern California. Had it for a short time before I realized I don't really like being an owner.
Yeah.
I prefer being an employee and closed my business down and gave all my work to a guy and said, "Here, I'm out of here." So it's interesting to know that you and I have had kind of the same career as we're going
Yeah.
forward, but we're going to go back to your accident. And so
Yeah.
if you need to take some time to,
No, we're good. We're
to have,
good. Yeah.
dude, I get you because you and
Yeah.
I have spoken about the accident. So tell us about the accident and what happened.
So basically I was headed to a service call, IKEA in Jacksonville, going up I-95, rush hour traffic, just a normal day going to work. Cruise control was set. Specifically, I know it was set 78 because Alpine's policy was we were not allowed to drive our trucks above 80. So again, I had the cruise control set at 78 miles an hour going up the interstate. All of a sudden, I heard the Chevy Express ding. Before I could look down to see if it was an air pressure gauge, I was low on fuel. The van literally hooked left directly into the guardrail on me. At that point, unfortunately, due to the way of the impact, not a single airbag went off. And essentially, it was what the doctor said, it was the equivalent of me being T-boned at 70 miles an hour. So what that did is it just with the seatbelt on, all that, it threw me across the passenger seat. Seatbelt held me in, but unfortunately, the seatbelt held my hips in, which caused it kind of racked my hips, unfortunately. So from there, it's pretty much, downhill. It was, I held on to the van, kept it into the guardrail because again, rush hour traffic, I know what's going on around me, so I just kind of let the van come to a stop, um, put it in park and, couldn't open the driver door because again, it's pinned all in there and all that. Got out the passenger side, called my manager and was like, "Hey, bad shit just happened, unfortunately." We decided what we had to do, call the tow truck, call this, call that. At the time I kind of refused medical, but then on the way home, my wife came and got me because I was about an hour and a half from my house. So she drove up, picked me up from the road, took me back, convinced me to go to the doctor. You know how that goes. You have to have that conversation. And then from there, it started the journey, and that's kind of what I refer to. I learned a lot of stuff about workman's comp. I learned a lot of stuff about the legal system in workman's comp, employee rights when it comes to getting hurt and fixed with doctors. Essentially, think about it like when you blow a disc out on your back. After multiple times going to doctors and all that, essentially what they discovered is I basically where your hip connects to your tailbone, the joint that's there, I basically exploded it. So it was kind of like a ruptured disc. And the problem with that is it caused constant discomfort because there's no way you can not walk, do anything without putting pressure on your hip. So it took me about 2.5 years going through medical and doctors and just being persistent and being an advocate for myself to finally get to the right doctors to get fixed. And then from there, that's, again, after I got to the doctor's office, I went to work at the Advanced Climate Solutions. And from there, I was doing project management. And I was fortunate. It was kind of just after COVID. Work from home was a very well option. Like it was common practice for a lot of these positions. So I was very fortunate. For 2 years, I was able to work from home, go to doctor's appointments, not miss any work, and then continue to build my career and continue on and get fit. So, after that, it was basically once I got healthy and felt that I was healthy, it was like, okay, project management, this isn't what my passion is, none of that fun stuff. And I just by everything lining up right, next sec posted the job, I fit the bill, and here we are. And I love it
So
every
when
day.
well, we love having you with us.
Yep.
So now that you're a safety manager, right?
Mhm.
And you're out in the field, you're talking to people and you're talking to techs and you're talking to office staff. You mentioned earlier, like
Mhm.
like this accident is like you're in a second part of your career, second half of your
Mhm.
career, maybe where this accident totally prepared you by accident for a
Mm.
safety role.
Yep.
How is the impact? Do you think you make a greater impact now that you're a safety manager, have gone through the injury, the workers' comp claim, dealing with the hospitals, all the doctors, all the payments, all the bills and all that? Do you think it makes you a better safety manager? And do you share the story with your employees to say, "Look, I've walked the walk and I can talk the talk?"
Mhm. Absolutely. I think it honestly does. It's helped me become, again, passionate, as you can clearly see it, it struck emotion with me. So, it's something that, again, makes me passionate. If you're passionate about something, you put a lot more into it. So I think, yes, I think it allows me to be able to connect with technicians on the personal level and share those experiences. And like you said, it's not just because a story that I heard or this or that, granted, those are very relevant and help us make those connections with the people. But I think the personal side of it is what really allows that deeper connection. Like you said, when we have a technician that really gets hurt, we have to reach out to them. It's like you understand what they're going to go through, so it makes it a little bit easier sometimes to help assure them that there is light on the other side of the tunnel. I know that I've had moments where guys, again, when we talk about this, other guys get, emotional about it because, again, they've had a family member die because of a car accident or things like that. But I think it helps them realize that we're not all perfect either. Again, it's like I got hurt, I didn't let it get me down. We can fix this, we can rebuild, and we can come back stronger. And use, like you said, use our experiences for something positive to teach others with. And that's where I think I can make the best impact with our team and safety and those things is because, again, me and Mike have put the ladder up on the side of the building. We've had to carry the compressor, up the side of it. Like we understand the risks that are associated with it. So I think those are the ways that we can make those individual impacts. And again, if one guy understands, hey, quit speeding because Danny got really hurt, like then I did my job, even if it's just one guy that it gets through.
I think though that his everyday discussion, like when he's
Mhm.
talking to techs every day, it sits out here on the side. And I think
Yeah.
being a safety trainer, like guys will ask me all the time, like, "Oh, do you have certificates? You have this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got certificates, but I've got 40 years in HVAC." Like
Yep.
you can be a safety trainer, wear the pretty yellow hat, and not have a day in the trade
Yep.
and have no life experiences. And so I think just having life experiences is an impact to people that you deal with.
Yep. I don't disagree, and that's what I said. I think it's very impactful that me and you both have those experiences that we could share with the personnel that we work beside with, you know?
So as the trade progresses, you got the accident, you're now in a safety role, you're making an impact. What are some of your struggles as a safety manager getting people to understand? Like we've talked about driving, you and I have talked about
Yep.
driving speeds, driving scores at the
Yep.
company. Like, what do you see from the safety side that is some of the biggest concerns that you have?
Well, it's definitely, and it's something that I share with the technicians that I am fortunate to talk to, like you said, there's certain structures that are set up to where there's no reason to rush, take your time. We take our time once we get on the roof to troubleshoot a unit, or once we open up the panels. So again, take our time getting there. The drive is just as important as getting there and doing our job and fixing this stuff. And I think to me that was kind of the biggest turning point even for me as a technician when I finally realized that, driving a company truck is just as much important a part of our job as fixing the units, because again, without a driver's license, without any of those possibilities, we can't go out and perform our duties. And so I think once you make that comprehension that driving is part of your profession, you have to treat it as a profession. You drive the speed limit, you slow it down a little bit, you pay attention to the other people on the road, you know?
And you're right, driving is huge, and people don't or techs, or individuals, employees don't understand that you're driving a multi-ton van down the
Yeah.
road. It doesn't stop. You have shifting loads in the inside of the van that move forward and go backward and shift to the side. It's just part
Yeah.
of it. And so, I just I get your struggles on that.
Yeah.
The way that you talk to the technicians and talk to people is huge. Do you have a style about you, do you think that maybe a stupid question, but a style that
No.
really works?
For me, because of just the type of person I am, I have to find a way to connect. If I can find a way to connect to you, find something in common, I can carry on a conversation with you. So for me, I think that's always the biggest thing. I try to find a way to connect to someone, and then from there we can build the conversation. So I think that I'd say that's kind of my style. I'm gonna try to find out who you are, what do we have in common, and I'm gonna build our relationship from there on that.
Sure. So, technical wise, you still carry the tools? You still got them with you?
No, no, I gave them all to my son, man.
Oh, is your son in the trade?
My son has had HVAC training. He has certificates, degrees. He did it for a couple of years with me. He helped me do some construction projects, all that stuff. It wasn't his true passion. He enjoys the mechanical side of it and all that. He actually works for a large property management company, and they
Gotcha.
do just general repairs altogether, whether it be
Nice.
fixing floors, drywall, the air condition, the water heater, and he really enjoys that. So he's doing really well with that.
He's still working blue collar proud, though.
He went to the office for 1 year. Me and him had a conversation about it. They asked him to be a manager. I said, "Hey, you're young, give it a shot. You'll figure it out if you
Right.
like it or you don't." He gave it 1 full year, and, he returned back to the field, about 3 months ago. So he has a different perspective on office life and field life now.
That's good, man. That's good because, it's always nice having,
Mhm.
especially because there's so many opportunities in blue collar.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. I think somewhere, plumbers are 500,000
Yep.
positions to be filled. HVAC is 400 and something thousand. Like, the numbers are crazy how many opportunities are in blue collar, especially HVAC, where we do electrical and piping and welding and brazing and service. It's
Yeah,
great.
and
It's
that's
great to
it,
know
yeah,
your
and
son's
that's
still in it.
Yeah, and that's it. Of the four boys, two of them tried the air condition. One's a car mechanic, the other one's a general mechanic, and, the one's still 18 years old trying to get through high school,
Nice.
so yeah.
So where does Danny see himself going? Where does Danny see for a future? And I know it's like a stupid question, but you've got a background and we would hope that you would say, "Oh, I want to stay at Next Tech," because Next Tech's a great place to work. We all like working there. But do you see yourself continuing in the safety role, expanding that role, trying to grab and touch more
Mm.
people with your influence more people?
I could tell you it's funny. We always laughed about that, and like you say, we talk about the different parts of the career and the trade. I always said I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And, I think I finally did. I think I
Okay.
finally found something that I really do enjoy. Like, I'm satisfied, um, like you said, because I'm sharing the knowledge, I'm giving it back, I'm trying to help the younger generation, help the techs out in the field, make it further in their career than I was able to. So, honestly, I truly do love my job. I love Next Tech, and I'm appreciative every day of the opportunity they've given me. So, in all reality, y'all gonna have to drag me out the back door and bury me in the pond or something because I really don't want to go anywhere. I plan on finishing out my career here and retiring, and then you know where I'll be. I'll be in Europe somewhere, having fun.
Yeah. You definitely like Germany. Definitely like
Yep,
Europe.
that's it. Yep, yep, yep.
All right. We appreciate you so much following along. You can find both of us on the Next Tech podcast, wherever you're listening to podcasts, YouTube, including if you're an employee on the Next Tech channels. If you want more about Next Tech, check us out at nexttechna.com. That's Next Tech North America, nexttechna.com. And you'll find out careers, opportunities, all sorts of stuff. And if you're a client, a potential client, you can connect there as well. You can see the type of services that we provide nationwide. That's why we're the largest independent HVAC provider in the country. So you can check us out at nexttechna.com. We're going to close it out. We appreciate you guys so much. Keep doing what you're doing. And remember, this podcast is powered by Next Tech. Check us out at nexttechna.com.
Stay safe out there, guys.